As millennial women, we were raised to believe we could have it all: the career, happy marriage, and kids. And now we're doing it all, and it's a lot. Let's dig in. Well, we covered a doozy of a topic on Tuesday, one that comes up every single day in my office. And nearly half the time, when we have people join our Facebook group and they have the opportunity to suggest a topic for the show, which, if you haven't done so yet, join the Facebook group, that is, you should definitely do. It's a great chance to turn this into a two-way relationship. Back to the topic at hand. Here we all are, living the lives that so many women before us could only dream of and fought super hard for. We've got the marriage and we've got the kids, always allowed. But now many of us also have careers and aspirations that are all our own. We're living the dream. And it's turning out to be a bit of a nightmare. So much so that the Surgeon General of America just issued an advisory about the mental health and well-being of parents. And long story short, it's not great. This is actually what we talked about in our episode on Tuesday. So if you haven't heard that yet, go back and listen to it. So here we are. It's Thursday, usually time for a hot take. But today we're doing something a little bit different. It's just you and me, friend. Me being Andrea Berkeley, if you don't know, therapist here in my actual therapy office, answering a couple of your questions in the same way that I would in a session. So let's jump on in. First question. We were leaving to go on a date the other night, something we do regularly, and my son started getting fussy and clingy and saying he didn't want us to go. When I asked him what was going on, he said, "I don't want you to leave. I just miss you." It makes sense. We've been super busy lately, gone more nights than normal, and having a lot of work travel. But it just made me feel so bad. How can I not feel like a shit mom when this happens? Oh, girl. Been there, felt that deep in my soul. This is so hard. And far too often when we talk about something like this, we call it mom guilt. And that's something I've got to challenge right off the bat with you, just like I often do in my office. So, guilt is an emotion that we feel when we have done something out of line with our values. It's super helpful. It's super valuable. It's one of the things that we need in order to be a member of a community. And in this case, what we've got to do is ask yourself, did I do something by traveling for work or by going on a date night with my husband that was out of line with my values? The answer is no, you didn't. You didn't do anything wrong. And so the feeling that you're feeling, we often call it mom guilt, but that's just not what it is. Here's why this matters. When we call it mom guilt, we often feel like we've got to change what we're doing or that we're at fault. And instead, if it's something else and we can figure out what that is, we can have a more appropriate response. My guess is that you're feeling sad, bad, any of the other ads, I'm not sure. But when your son said that he just missed you, I wonder if there was a part of you that could really relate to that. You said it makes sense, and I'm guessing that you missed him too. I'm also guessing that you felt sad because he was sad, because you're a good mom and you were experiencing a lot of empathy in that moment. So, what can you do? Well, in that moment, you can pause, take a deep breath, notice what you're feeling sad. And you can, in that moment and from that place, respond to your son. Maybe you get down low, close to him, and say, "Oh, buddy, it sounds like you're feeling really sad because we've been really busy lately and we haven't gotten to see each other as much as usual. You know what? I feel sad too. Let yourself feel that for a second. It's that empathy, it's that feeling that connects us, right? I feel sad too when we don't get to spend as much time with each other as we want. Now, it's really important for me and daddy to go on a date. And I think you and I need a little bit of special time together after that. So, how about this? Tomorrow after school, you come home and we can do fill in the blank, whatever your kid likes. Right now, for my kid, it's reading Harry Potter. When you come home after school, I'm going to be here tomorrow and we can read some extra Harry Potter together. How does that sound? Good? Probably good. And I bet that with a hug in that moment, a big kiss, and then I'll see you in a little bit, that situation will mostly be resolved. Now, let's get real. You might do everything that I just said, and your kiddo might have an absolute level 10 meltdown. It does not mean you're doing it wrong. It just means that they have big feelings that aren't done yet, I guess. And so you hang in there as long as you can. You know, maybe that's more hugging and less talking because you've got a dysregulated kiddo. And if you have to leave to go on your date night, you say, I love you, and you hand your kiddo to the babysitter and you walk out the door. And I promise you that within like 2 minutes, your kiddo was feeling okay. One more thing for you. A lot of times we do feel bad in a way that we would describe as guilty because we feel like we are making our child feel sad. And instead, I want you to see this as an opportunity. We were never supposed to be able to arrange our children's lives so that they didn't have difficult feelings. In fact, if you did do that, it would be very harmful to them because the rest of their life, when they're not with you, is going to involve sadness, frustration, disappointment, anger. They're going to experience these things. So when your child gets to experience them with you, even if they think that it's because of you, and maybe you feel the same way, it gives you an opportunity to sit in that feeling with your child, to work through it, to let it pass, and to, I guess, see it, to give it some attuned attention. And that whole process is incredibly important. What your child learned in that moment was, I was upset, I was able to feel it and show it, and then the person who matters the most to me attended to it. This is a child who understands that they can feel their feelings and also they've learned to receive comfort. These are vital skills, the kind of things that come back up when I'm working with adults all the time, and especially when I'm working in couples. So instead of feeling bad that your child experienced sadness or frustration in your presence or in your relationship, and I know this is asking a lot, it's a big reframe, but I want you to feel good. I want you to feel like, you know what? I did some A-plus parenting today, even if it was a hot mess. I did my best. I worked through this to the best of my ability at the time. And that's what parenting is all about. All right, let's dig into our next question. I have the opportunity to pursue my dream job, but the amount of international travel would be unpredictable and really hard on my family. Sigh. How do you handle it when your dream job doesn't fit your family's season? I have a feeling that you're not asking me how to actually make this decision. You've probably already written down a pros and cons list. You've noticed the challenges, and it sounds like you actually already know that you're not going to take this job. So I'm guessing what you're asking is, how do I deal with the feelings that are coming up because I have to make that decision? First things first, what are you feeling? Maybe you're angry. Maybe you're sad. Maybe you feel a lot of resentment because you're having to choose. Maybe you're uncomfortable with any of those feelings. And I just want you to know that whatever you feel makes a lot of sense. Your career is important to you. You've been working your whole adult life, probably to bring you to this moment. And it's really, really hard to have everything you want, the family and the career, and then find that you actually can't do them at the same time, not to their fullest, and have to choose. So that's the first step, to identify how you feel and to just leave some space for it. Too often, we're so focused on the outcome that we just make a snap decision and we skip over the whole middle part where we have feelings. Or we feel like, I'm not allowed to feel sad or resentful or mad because at the end of the day, this is what I'm deciding to do. And that's just not true. In fact, the best way to get to a peaceful place with this decision is to allow yourself to have big feelings about it. And maybe even to share those with somebody in your life. If that's your husband, that's amazing. And if you find that you want to share your feelings and then he wants to solve it for you, right? Like he just wants to say, well, but it doesn't, we're not going to be able to do this anyway. This wouldn't work, right? He gets to the solution, he invalidates you. Then share it with a friend, maybe another working mom who's had to make these decisions, and see if you can get a little bit of permission to feel after we leave some space for your feelings and hopefully have them validated and empathized with either by yourself or by somebody else. We need to take a little power back. So often we feel like because there's only one viable option, that means that we don't have a choice. But you do. You do in this case. Like you could choose to take this job. It could cause chaos in your life. It could be totally unworkable. You could choose to do it though. And in this case, you're choosing not to. You're leaning on your wisdom, right? You're making a sacrifice. You're understanding that an opportunity is only a good opportunity if it fits in the season. Maybe you're even able to say, hey, not this one, but the next. Whatever you've had to do, you have been able to make a choice. And claiming that, even if it's not an easy choice, claiming that can help you feel like you've got a little more control and maybe ease some of the resentment that you feel at the situation. And that's kind of a wash, rinse, repeat. This might not be something that feels settled right away. It might be something that you feel some grief about for a while, and that's okay too. Well, that's it. That's all I've got for today. This solo episode thing is totally new for us. This is my first ever solo episode, and you'll hear from Jess solo next Thursday, so make sure you're following the show so that you don't miss that. So we'd love to know what you think. The vast majority of our episodes will be the way you've always heard them. Both me and Jessica talking through the things that are on your mind with all of the empathy and insight you would expect from a couple of therapists and the humor and maybe foul language that you probably didn't expect. But if you like these, we could mix in a solo episode now and then. So leave us a 5-star rating and a review. And in the review, let us know if you're a yay or a nay on solo episodes. All we ask is that you're honest. We'll be back, both Jessica and I, talking all about how we're feeling with the change of season. Until then, stay honest, ladies.